Lucas.
And Lauren C. Ray, and we are here in Thailand.
If you want to know what we're up to while we're here, you can check out this week's vlog on Lauren's IGTV.
Also, Lucas has new music dropping next Friday, so get ready.
So let's get to this week's topic, getting signed by 5 top record labels.
So Lucas has been signed by 5 different record labels, and actually what's unique about this is each record label was a different circumstance, like how you got signed. So I think it's a really good example of like how you guys could get signed to. So we're gonna like go through each record label you've been signed to and like kind of how it all happened, so that you guys can kind of see like different routes that you could take or different possibilities that might happen for you when getting signed by a record label.
The first one is get your music supported. This lesson is from when I got signed by Spinnin' Records, because I had sent them 6 different tracks before, uploaded tracks on Talent Pool, entered remix contests, and never heard like anything from them. Even though I made it to like the top on the chart, eventually I realized that didn't really matter. Anyways, but I got supported by Mesto eventually on one of my tracks, which was Vibes. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember that one or not, but
comment below if you remember that one.
Yeah, if you remember Vibes. So I got supported by Mesto on that track, and that helped me get Spinnin' Records to hear my track, because I uploaded it to Spinnin' Talent Pool, and in the title I put supported by Mesto, and literally the exact same night that I uploaded it, before it even got to the top 1,000 chart, I got an email back from them telling me they were interested in signing the song. Right,
so how do you get noticed? You know, you're thinking, well, I submit all the time on Talent Pool or wherever, and you know, no one ever listens maybe to my track or whatever, but how can you like get eyes on your track, get supported by somebody who they know or who they've signed before? So Mesto, you know, that's like, he's at the top or whatever. We're not saying you need to get, we're not saying you need to get somebody who's like, you know, really big. That just circumstance happened the way it happened. It was awesome, yada, yada, yada. But if you can get anyone who is signed previously by that label, or somebody who's well known to the A&R or something like that, even getting supported maybe by someone random that is like a successful, you know, producer or DJ, grabs the attention of the eyes, and then they'll want to press play and listen to it. And if it's a great track, it has more potential to be signed.
And you're probably wondering how to get your music supported. We have a lot of videos on that here and on IGTV, so we'll put cards somewhere over here so you can check that out. The second lesson is come to events. This one is for when I got signed by Future House Music, because I again had tried to get in touch with Future House Music before and hadn't been successful with it, and then I actually ended up running into them at Spinnin' Hotel in Miami.
Yes, that's right. We saw them over there, and I was like, come on Lucas, this is your opportunity to go talk to them. And he's like, I don't know if I want to bother them. Like, I'm sure you guys have that going through your mind too. I don't really want to bother them. What are you bothering? You're not bothering them by just saying hello or saying hi or introducing yourself. Like, you wouldn't bother us if you did that to us. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with just saying hello. And that's basically what it was. And then they just started talking, and that's the first touch. It wasn't like he's like, all right, now here's my USB and here's my demo, and emailed them the next day. No, I don't think, how many months later was it even?
It was long, maybe like
it was
9
a year.
months, a year.
Almost a year later, then, you know, you were like, hey, this is a song that I think fits your label really, really nicely. Here it is. They already knew who he was by that first introduction, and I think a few introductions, a few like more run-ins happened like throughout the year, but that was the first. So you have to like go to these events to make these things happen, whether it be ADE or dance fair. Like, anytime you can get in person, face-to-face, physically in front of somebody, it's more of an impact than through the internet. Through the internet is great too if that happens naturally, you know, a DM on Instagram, a favorited tweet, something like that, where you guys have that first, you know, reach out kind of hello. It's nice to like have that.
Yeah, and we actually have an entire video on how I was signed by Future House Music, like in depth.
Yeah,
so you can check that out. We will put that.
Tons of videos.
Yeah, tons of videos. The third lesson is submit the old-fashioned way, because in this case it has to do with Strange Fruits, because I didn't really know Steve Voigt or Strange Fruits at the time, and I had seen what they were doing on Instagram, and I really thought that it was cool, like how
nice fit for the track you had.
Yeah, and especially because they were like, they're so interested in social media, which I am, and we are as well.
That was perfect fit.
Yeah, it was perfect fit. So I decided just to submit the old-fashioned way through the website, And about 10 days later, I got a reply that they were interested in signing the track. So,
right, so that started a chat, that started an email chain, that started to get to know each other just the normal old-fashioned way, so that happens too. So don't be afraid to submit through the websites or submit to the demo email, because you never know what's going to happen.
Number 4 is they will start reaching out to you. So in this case, it has to do with my new track, Days, which comes out next Friday on Syrup, which is EDX's label. So what happened was we were actually in Spain at the time, and I think we were just walking around for once. We weren't working at the time. We were out walking around seeing some of the sites, and I got an email on my phone from Syrup that said that they were interested in my music, that they had heard it on Spotify and my other releases, and that they were wondering if I had any other songs that I could send them. And so this is what happens, because if you continue to work hard and you start getting releases or start getting your music out there, start getting it heard, eventually the right A&R or the right team can find you, stumble upon you. Maybe a DJ supports you and they're listening to that radio show and they hear your music and they're like, what is this person doing? Like, what's this about?
So sometimes labels will reach out to you.
Number 5 is develop your own sound. And this one happened in the latest label that I got signed to, which is Armada, which I'm really excited about. I have a track coming out with them in June. And in this case, they were interested in me doing an official remix because they like the future trance sound that I've been developing with my last releases. So when it comes to developing your own sound, it's something that happens over time. We talk about this a lot, but eventually after you do a bunch of releases, you'll start to develop like the things that you do. Like maybe you use your leads in a certain way, maybe your melodies have a certain pattern, maybe you like to use certain samples, or you've developed certain sound design. Whatever it is that's your specific sound, people will take notice and they'll be like, hey, I would like you to remix my track, but I want that sound. Like, that's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in this case.
And it could happen where, you develop your own sound and a label that's perfect for that sound may reach out to you. So it kind of goes back to number 4 this way, where you develop that own specific sound and they really, really think it's a perfect fit for them, and they'll reach out to you as well. So I think those go hand in hand too. So those are just a few ways on how you could get signed by a label, by a big label, by any label. I mean, they're just perfect examples of how Music by Lucas was signed to different labels. So I hope some of those are helpful for you guys, for you to kind of figure out how to get signed by a label or how to get signed by more labels. Also, comment below if there's any other ways you guys have been signed by a label to kind of help out the community, or interesting stories that you guys have of how a label reached out, or how you got a hold of a label or met a label. There's just, it's funny because when we started this YouTube channel, when you started your music career, when we started Team MBL, we had no idea what was going to happen. These things just kind of happen, and so it's just so interesting for Lucas and I to see all these different ways that he got signed, or hear stories from you guys. So comment some of those below, because we love hearing them, because they've happened to us and we're like, what? And also, if you want to work on getting that next track signed, work on your track and that sort of thing, don't forget about our music online academy called the Producers Team we have here, where you guys can join up and learn how to get signed by Music by Lucas, by other artists, and just get better every week.
Yeah, our latest success story is David Flicks, and he just did a collab with Moti, and he has a bunch of other tracks coming out now on Moti's label. We have weekly classes, we have weekly demo drops with top artists, top record labels, one-on-one coaching, and so
feedback classes, classes like that about mixing, mastering, sound design. We have all kinds of stuff, basically everything you need in order to move forward in your career, which is why we do these videos, why we have all of this available to you, is because we want you guys to move forward as well, because it was a struggle for Lucas at the beginning, and that's why we created this community itself, is because there wasn't really much out there for him, and we were like, wow, we learned all this, let's share it with more people, just create a really positive community. And yeah, that's the Producers Team. So if you guys want to join, I think that's linked in the description
below.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this live with us, head over right now to our Discord for our after party. This week's special guest host is SkyTech, so you can ask him questions, you can ask us questions.
You can ask questions about this video. If you have any more follow-up questions, we'll answer right away.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, bye!
Bye!